Hi, I'm Maximilian Alvarez. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Real News Network and host of the podcast Working People, and this is the Art of Class War on Breaking Points. In our last Art of Class War segment, which we published at the end of August, I spoke with Nick Livick, a General Motors auto worker and a rank-and-file member of UAW Local 31 in Kansas City, about the high-stakes, intensifying contract fight between the United Auto Workers Union and the Big Three automakers, Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis, formerly Chrysler. The UAW's current contracts with the Big Three covers around 150,000 auto workers, and those contracts are set to expire just before midnight on Thursday, September 14th. Now, we are recording this interview from the Real News Network studio here in Baltimore on Tuesday, September 12th. As you guys know, Breaking Points' partner segments publish on the weekends. So by the time you are watching this, it is very likely that workers at one or more of the Big Three will be on strike. As Jeff Shirkey reports at In These Times magazine, quote, "The Big Three have made a combined nearly $250 billion in profits in North America over the past decade, including $21 billion in the first 6 months of 2023 alone. The company's shareholders and executives have been richly rewarded through stock buybacks and exorbitant salaries. Meanwhile, the workers who actually make the cars have seen their real wages plummet by 30% over the past 20 years. In what was once a middle-class career, some auto workers now make as little as $15.78 per hour, often working overtime to earn enough to support their families." End quote. Now, as we have covered here on Breaking Points and at the Real News Network, the UAW is not messing around at the bargaining table right now. Among other things, the union is demanding 46% raises in general pay over the next 4 years, a shorter work week without reduction in pay, ending the tiered wage system for factory jobs that allows the company to pay workers radically different amounts for doing the same jobs. The union is also fighting for the restoration of cost of living pay raises and defined benefit pensions for new hires, things that the UAW and its members gave up to help save the auto industry from collapsing 15 years ago during the Great Recession. If auto workers walk off the job later this week, what will that look like? What will it take for workers to win this fight and secure the contract that they deserve? And what role do we all have to play in that fight? To talk about all of this and more, I'm honored to be joined today by Chris Falzone, a rank-and-file UAW member who works at the Stellantis Assembly Complex in Toledo, Ohio, after recently transferring from the shuttered Belvidere plant in Illinois. Chris, thank you so much for joining me today on Breaking Points, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we are going to be releasing this over the weekend, as I said. It's very possible that you and your coworkers will be on the picket line by that point. So I want to just really hit the ground running here and ask, as we are approaching this contract deadline just before midnight on Thursday, how are you and your coworkers feeling right now about a potential strike? Like, what's the vibe in your local and across the union? What are you hearing from folks?
So the vibe is very positive. We've been seeing a sea of red shirts every day we go into work. People are just excited. So we used to get offered overtime to work through our lunches and breaks, and people aren't taking it anymore. We're not working through lunches and breaks. We're not going above and beyond for the company, since they won't go above and beyond for us. They won't even do the bare minimum for our temps, who are only making $15 an hour, and they're being forced to work 7 days a week on call, which is completely unfair. The people on the floor, we're ready. We're excited for this.
And I mean, you talk about going above and beyond. I've been interviewing more of your union siblings for my podcast, Working People. And what I've been hearing from folks is just like the incredible amount of work that y'all have been doing, even through the pandemic, like the speed ups, the reduction in allotted time to complete your tasks. Like it just feels like y'all are just constantly going, 100% or 110% with forced overtime. I mean, I've been hearing about folks working like 7 days a week, 12 hours a day for like 3 months without a break.
Yeah, we have SEs right now that are some of them are forced to work up to almost a month straight. If they're a low SE, they'll have to just go and work, and they have no ability to call off. They can't say, "Hey, I want to spend Tuesday with my family." No, there's no way for them to get any time off of work. And when you're talking about the speed ups, right now, Chrysler has been cutting jobs just viciously. They've cut about half of our quality jobs, and then they want to come to us and be like, "Why is quality worse?" We can't we can't control quality when you cut our jobs and then you push out bad product. And then you spin it in the media narrative. These people are overpaid. No, when you're doubling jobs up and people are struggling, they can't get a sip of water when it's hot out. That's not fair.
Well, let's talk about that, because of course, like they did ahead of a potential railroad strike last year, and like they did ahead of a potential UPS strike this summer, the corporate media is crapping its collective pants right now over the quote unquote economic impact that an auto strike would cause. And, folks like Jim Cramer are out here trying to paint the UAW president Sean Fain like he's Che Guevara or something. So I want to focus on that for a second. And I want to ask if you could talk directly to folks out there who are being bombarded every day by all of this corporate serving propaganda. What would you want them to know about this struggle and what this strike is really about?
So I want people to think about being on an assembly line for 12 hours. You're breaking your back, you're moving heavy hoists, picking up heavy parts, bending into the engine compartment. Think about doing that work for 12 hours for $15 an hour. Try to think about what it would be like when you're not getting to spend time with your family. You're being forced to be in there 5, 6, 7 days a week for $15 an hour. That's poverty wages. I make $31.77, which sounds like an amazing wage, but when I started, the top out pay was $28 an hour. We've only gotten $3.50 in 15 years. And that's not fair to us either. When I started, a car cost about $25,000. Now it costs $50,000, but my wages haven't doubled. We've only gotten $3 an hour. We're not greedy auto workers. We just want our fair share of the profits.
Hell yeah. And let's not forget, as we discussed in the last Art of Class War segment with Nick Livick, we are talking about an auto industry that looks very different from what we saw in 2008, 2009. Right? We all know, we were all there in the Great Recession. It sucked, right? I mean, my family lost everything like so many millions of other families. I know that your union siblings, gave up a lot of concessions to help keep this industry afloat. And the taxpayers, fellow working people, we bailed out, two of the big three automakers to the tune of $80 billion. And y'all were promised at that time that the concessions you were giving up would be given back when, the auto industry turned things around, when these companies were back in the black. And over the course of the past decade, what we have seen instead of that is these same companies not only turn massive record profits, which y'all are making for them, to the tune of billions and billions of dollars. They got massive windfall profits from giant tax cuts a couple years ago. And they have responded with more layoffs, more plant closures, which you yourself have experienced, and they've been jacking up their own executive pay and shareholder dividends. Like, am I wrong? Am I going crazy here? Because it feels like if they wanted to get the public on their side, maybe stop being so openly greedy and screwing over your workers.
Yeah, we are bearing the brunt of their greed. The jobs have been doubled up. The the thing is when they'll talk about our profit sharing, they'll say things like, "We spent $600 million on profit sharing. That's how much my company spent." But they gave $6 billion in stock buybacks.
Well, and let's talk about where we're headed, right? Because, like I said, as we speak right now on Tuesday, we are at the precipice of a potential strike. And as we know, this is not, your daddy's UAW, right? This is a new day for the union. That the leadership was voted in after you and your fellow union members fought for a one member, one vote system that allowed you to more democratically and more directly elect your union leadership, which y'all did, electing Shawn Fain, backed by the Reform Caucus, Unite All Workers for Democracy. And now we've got, like a much different tone at the bargaining table and amongst the membership, I think. So I wanted to ask, like, with all of this going on, what would a strike look like if indeed one happens at one or more of the big three automakers this week? What can folks out there do if there is a strike to stand in solidarity with y'all? And when it comes to approving a final contract, what will a victory for workers look like here?
What people can do to help us is when we're out there picketing, if you drive by us, if you wave, if you honk, that's amazing. Just show your support. If you want to come to the picket line, anyone who's an adult can be on the picket line. If you want to show your solidarity by coming and standing with us, we would appreciate it. We understand that the public's on our side and that we're going to win this fight. We have the moral backing of the American people. 80% of people back us. And it's because people are tired of being beaten down by our bosses, by them making record profits, but not giving us any wage increases. A victory for us in the UAW means that we don't have tiers anymore. We don't have second-class citizens working right next to us, making half our wage. Second-class citizens who don't have the same health care as us. And I technically am a second-class citizen compared to the other workers. I don't have a pension. I don't have medical benefits for when I retire. If I do 30 years, when I retire, I'm quitting. It's not that I'm leaving, on good terms with the company and retiring with a pension. I'm quitting my company after 30 years of service. And that's not fair to us, the workers. So we're trying to give ourselves justice for the hard work and the profits that we've made for these companies.
So that is Chris Falzone, a rank-and-file UAW member who works at the Stellantis Assembly Complex in Toledo, Ohio, after recently transferring from the shuttered Belvidere plant in Illinois. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today on Breaking Points, ma'am. And solidarity to you and your union siblings, whatever happens this week.
Thank you. You have a good day now.
Thank you for watching this segment with Breaking Points, and be sure to subscribe to my news outlet, The Real News Network, with links in the description to this video. See you soon for the next edition of The Art of Class War. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Solidarity forever.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.